So I can see everybody just popping through now into the main room, and thank you so much for joining us. Whilst we wait for kind of everyone to filter in, I would absolutely love it if you are able to join us on our Enactus UK social media channels. It's where we post lots of information about when graduate schemes are live with partners such as UBS. We'll be posting lots of upcoming events that are happening, and of course we'll be able to kind of see what you can get involved with over the year with Enactus, which there's a lot. So please do follow us on whichever platform works for you. Could I also request, before we start, if you aren't already on mute, please just double check that you are, because it can be really distracting when we're mid-flow and somebody's mum or dad walks in, or your flatmate, or your goldfish, or a baby or a dog or a cat. So please just double check that you're on mute. That would be really helpful for us. But welcome to the final session of the Employability Fair with Enactus UK. You've joined us for UBS's session, and we're really pleased to have you. Hopefully this screen won't be too unfamiliar with you, and you might have joined us for another session, but if not, we would absolutely love you to be part of the Enactus UK network if you aren't already. So please do head to enactusuk.org/join to register as an official student, and it will allow you to get exclusive access to Enactus mentoring and coaching from over 230 of our partner organisations, including UBS, as well as tailored support for your team and your projects. And we'd absolutely love for you to be part of us. If you don't know what Enactus is, it's a bit of a society that doesn't really say what it is on the tin, which can be quite confusing. But Enactus is the UK's leading combined youth social action and youth social enterprise charity, which develops thousands of young entrepreneurial spirits every year. And what this means is, in practice, is we aim to be the bridge between the world of work and the world of higher education. And we do that by working with over 66 UK universities to create student-led projects which benefit their local and international communities. And then these projects go on to be social enterprises in their own right, because they will address one or more of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So really exciting thing to be part of whilst you're at university. But we also partner with 17 of the UK's leading graduate employers, such as UBS, some of our other employers you might have caught already at the Employability Fair. But it's a fantastic opportunity to build your network whilst you're a student, and Enactus students are 50 times more likely to be employed than the average graduate with our partner organisation. So quite a big statistic there, and hopefully enough to convince you to join the network. We find that Enactus students join us for one of three reasons, really: to make a difference to their local community, to meet like-minded individuals and make friends, or to really build on their CV and employability sessions. But even if you join us for one reason, you'll have left your Enactus experience having gained all three. So it's an incredible thing to get involved with. And just a reminder, how you register is enactusuk.org/join, and we'll be able to connect you with your university team if you aren't already. So thank you so much. And I know that you are not here to listen to me. You are here to listen to our experts from UBS. So I'll pass over to Nofi now, if that's okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Caroline, and really appreciate you guys hosting us today. So what I'd like to do is just take over, if that's okay, and share my screen. If you could just simply nod when you can see my screen, that will be awesome. Yeah, I can see nodding, so that's awesome. So welcome everyone, wherever you are in the UK. It's been great to kind of, I guess, be involved in the Employability Fair this year. I am sitting in the recruiting team, looking after all the recruiting efforts and in terms of marketing and attraction for the whole of EMEA, including UK. And I have my colleague, Annette. Would you like to do a quick intro of yourself before we go straight into the slides? Yeah.
Sure. So I'm Annette Dean. I sit in the global banking team at UBS. I cover sector coverage in the investment bank, being tech, media, and Telefonica.
Amazing. That sounds very technical. As you can imagine, Annette's going to go through a quick overview about her day in her life shortly after, while we're going through the presentation. But before then, I just want to quickly give you an overview of who we are as an organisation. It's one thing to assume that you automatically know who we are and what we do. And especially if you are considering opportunities, whether that be internship or graduate schemes, I'll be able to go through some of our programs as well as our recruitment process as well. So who we are. So UBS, we are a global firm. We basically provide financial services all over the world, as you can see, in over 50 countries. And we offer through whether that be asset management, wealth management, investment bank, and also personal and corporate services as well. So we have that kind of, I guess, global approach. We also have, as you can imagine, the local approach in our local offices as well. So we've got that good balance between the two as well. In terms of obviously how since we've been established, it was founded obviously in Switzerland, and then we've been growing there ever since. We have over 70,000 colleagues, and it's actually growing year on year. All of them, and actually on average, the average tenure for each employee is about 8 years, which is quite good. And we take pride in ourselves in terms of the mobility opportunities that we offer here for our colleagues. So over to the next slide. As I briefly mentioned in terms of the offerings that we have, I think I went too quickly, I got trigger happy there, but in terms of our offerings, so as mentioned, obviously, we are known as the world leader in wealth management, and we take pride in that, and it's actually one of the stats, and we offer 1 in 5 billionaires their services across the world. So I think that for me, that's one of those memorable stats you will never forget, and I've been quite impressed by that. And obviously with our other areas, such as the investment bank and also the asset management as well, they are the focus or the specific division within those. For example, investment bank, there's areas within global banking, global markets, and the research part that kind of forms the main aim of the investment bank. There's areas such as group functions, and it's worth noting that they're seen more as the engine of the bank. So they help teams like the wealth management, the asset management, and the investment bank to do their job. So they're here to support those teams to get to where they want to be. So they include areas like the operations, HR, risk, compliance, etc. And then the last area, personal and corporate. So that area is actually only located in our Switzerland office. They offer the retail and corporate institutional clients services, and it's only in the region of Switzerland. So it's worth noting. So if you are interested in opportunities there, it's only within our Switzerland region. As you can see on the right-hand side is the divisional split for those areas. Our biggest area, as you can see, is the wealth management, followed shortly by the kind of, I guess, asset management piece as well. The final aspect that I wanted to go through in terms of UBS and what we do is our key behaviours, and this forms as a foundation of, I guess, what we do and who we are, and that's really important. Each UBS colleagues are aligned to this, and it's really important you mention this in your interview process as well, and make sure this aligns to your kind of, I guess, your purpose and your goals as well. So these 3 attributes is what we stand by in everything we do. So the first bit is the accountability with integrity. So it's really important, as you can imagine, we are a large corporation, we are financial, and there's high regulations involved, and so it's really important that we are compliant where we are, and we are ensuring that we're following guidelines, because integrity is really key. You don't want to lose trust and respect in anything we do. So it's really important that we are ensuring that we are taking ownership in everything we do. We act and step up when something isn't right as well. The second piece is the collaboration. So working as one UBS is really key wherever we are in the country, in the world, should I say. So whether that be in Switzerland, in Germany, in France, and even in Singapore, I have colleagues all over, and it's really important, that collaboration piece, to ensure that we are achieving our goal, whether that be our clients, our customer, or even our colleagues, like areas in group functions as well. So we're acting as one to ensure that we're delivering the best service that we can give. The third part is actually as of recent, and it's ensure that we are continuously innovating. As you can imagine, we've been established for quite a while, so it's really important, especially to stay at the top of our game, to continue to innovate, to continue to challenge the status quo, because it's not necessarily going to be a case where you want to do things as is just because that's the way it's always been done. But we want to ensure that we are working efficiently in a smart way, and where possible, we can try and innovate as much as we can. So the next part of this presentation that I wanted to go through with you guys is where you could potentially sit in the story. So if you're considering opportunities, it really depends on your year of graduation. That will determine what program or what opportunities might be suited for you. So if I go to the next slide, it kind of quickly goes through an overview of that. So for those who are graduating next year, fingers crossed, good luck on your final years and your dissertation. You may want to consider graduate schemes. So those programs, it's more of a permanent piece, although the standard is about 18 to 24 months. So if you want to decide to grow and develop elsewhere, then that opportunity is available to you to grow within other division. But the standard program is about 18 to 24 months, depending on the division. So that's available for mostly final years and also recent grads. If you've graduated in the last probably year or two, that might be suited for you. So you'll receive on-the-job training, you'll be allocated to buddies, you'll be given mentorship, and you will ensure that we give you all the kind of training that you need to develop. So even when you do start, for the first 2 weeks, you'll actually be receiving training to develop your hard skills as well as before you actually hit the desk, that as they will put it, quote unquote. So for those who are graduating in the year of 2022, you may want to consider our summer internship opportunity or even our off cycle. The one program that we didn't note on here, and it's really important because it's not as popular, and I know a lot of students don't tend to do it, but it's called the industrial placement. So if you're completing a 4-year degree and you're also in your penultimate year, you might want to consider that. But all of this summer internship, off-cycle and industrial placement are open to those in their penultimate year. So you need to only choose one. And really important to note down, you can only apply for one vacancy per campus season. So it's key that you do your research beforehand, go on our website, attend events like this to find out more before you decide what vacancy you want to apply for. But each of those internships that I explained will offer you an insight into those business areas that you would probably I guess are considering. So whether that be global banking, global markets, asset management, etc. So for the summer internship, that's about 9 weeks, and that's for the usual standard 3-year degree. During your summer internship and during your second year, when you finish that, you go into the summer program in the summertime, and then you go into your final year. The industrial placement, however, is when you do it for that 12 months period. So you're actually given 12 months professional placement with UBS, and you'll get the experience, actually delve into the actual division and work with colleagues throughout that 12 months duration as well. And then finally, for those who are mostly in their first year completing a 3-year course or second year completing a 4-year course, you may want to consider our spring week. And that is something we've acknowledged that you may not necessarily know what programs you're interested in or what division you want to apply for. So that is actually perfect for you because it will give you an overall insight into the wide range of opportunities we have. It's 4-day, is a virtual program at the moment because of everything going on, but hopefully we can host a lot more in-person engagement next year. But that after that program, hopefully you should know what kind of division you want to apply for in terms of summer, off-cycle or industrial placement for the following year. All of these programs serve as a pipeline, so it's really important and it's key. If you can try to apply as early as possible in your first year or second year, I would definitely recommend it. However, that does not necessarily mean if you're in your final year, you can't get a graduate schemes. We do have vacancies. And for those that are still considering opportunities in their final year, I would highly recommend applying for the graduate schemes as well. And then in terms of how we hire, so our application process is quite straightforward, but I'll go through it in detail so you understand that. So when you go onto our website to find out more about our opportunities, you would do your research, I hope. Once you do your research, you would then apply for the vacancy of interest. When you do apply for that, you need to submit a CV and complete the online application form. There are no cover letter in our process, so it's really important you get the CV right. That is your one-shot opportunity. So it's really key to get all the key information that you want to put in there, whether that be your transferable experience, your key skills, your kind of, I guess, extracurricular activity, your education. That is really important to note that down. Be as detailed as possible, and ensure that you are checking and double checking for any typos, spelling mistakes. It's really key, because you'd be surprised the amount of CVs that we get that just has silly mistakes that, what if you just looked at it twice, you would have recognized that. So one thing I would highlight in that process is just make sure you're triple checking, whether that be you print it out in a different format and you review it, or get a peer, get a family member to review it before you submit it. And then when you complete the online application process, you would then be invited to the online assessment. That assessment will range depending on the program or the business division you apply for. Whether that be numerical reasoning, the situational judgment, you will still need to practice beforehand. So I would recommend, outside of the test that UBS sends you, go externally to do some practice. There's the SHL website, there's the Corn Ferry website, which we actually use, that's our system. So I would recommend actually taking the time out of your diary to attend those website and actually do the testers beforehand. It's all about practicing, and the more you practice, the better you get at it. From my personal experience as well. So I would definitely recommend practicing as much as possible in the online assessment period before you do it. When you are receiving the online assessment link, it's important to note you don't have to do it straight away. So you're actually given 7 days to complete it in. So don't feel like you have to do it straight away. So you've got time to practice before you do it. So that's really important to note. If you are successful, you will then be invited to a video interview. The video interview actually at the moment can be done in your own time. So at home, you'll be able to just record it and then send the final version once you've completed it. So you'll be sent questions in advance and you have time to prepare for it. You'll be given 2 minutes to actually answer those questions. I would personally recommend, I know I've said this quite a lot already, but preparation is key. So preparing for that and practicing is really important. So there's easy ways around it, whether that be download a recorder app on your phone and do a practice beforehand, hear how you sound. Sometimes we can be our best critique, and hearing that in advance and practicing over and over again could also help as well. Once you go through the video interview and you are successful, fingers crossed, you'll be invited to the assessment day. That will involve competency and commercial based questions. And the interview process, it's more about bringing your story to life. So this is really important for you to get that out as much as possible. So you have the opportunity to meet one of our assessors, and then they'll go through in terms of the role, the experience, and also talk about more about your CV. So that's where you want to definitely highlight as much as possible. Get some questions out as well. It's always key to ask questions. I think that's always definitely a positive. But the lesson that I would definitely add to that is more about being your authentic self. That is really important. Don't try and blag it. Don't try and wing it. If there are questions that are asked that you don't fully understand, or you want clarification, or you don't know how to answer, just be transparent. I think that's probably better for both sides as well. So we want you to bring yourself out. Is really important. I know a lot of students tend to think that, oh, I don't have a finance background, so I'm not necessarily desirable and ideal. That is not the case. We want everyone to bring their authentic self. Everyone needs to be different. Different people bring different solutions, and that's really important when it comes to, providing solutions for our clients and our everyday kind of work as well. So that's why it's really key. And then once you go through that assessment day, hopefully, fingers crossed, you receive an offer, and then we will welcome you there. I've gone through some of the key tips, but I'm keen for Annette to actually go through some of her day in a life within Global Banking Team, because I know a lot of you will be interested in that division. So what I'm going to do is, obviously, I've highlighted some of this already, but I just want to kind of summarize that before we go to Annette. So it's really important to do your research, as I mentioned, not just our website, go above and beyond. There's the Financial Times, there's news alerts that you can sign up to, LinkedIn. There's so many things out there that you need to ensure that you've done your research beforehand, whether that be about our company or even about what's going on in the world and how that affects the industry that you're interested in. I think that will bring it to life for you. Using the STAR method might be useful as well when you are completing interview-based questions. That's the one thing I still personally use myself. And then the other piece is obviously ensure that you are kind of, I guess, preparing as much as possible and just kind of preempting. For example, if you're preempting questions in advance, you're better prepared should that answer and should that question arise in the interview process as well. And then in terms of the interview tips, ensure that you address professionally. Technology is really key. Just make sure as much as possible you are trying to test the platform, or you're testing your technology. Make sure you've got quiet background as much as possible. First impression does count. So anything distracting is not good for you, and is also not good for the interview as well. And as mentioned already, be authentic and be honest. That's what we want to see. That's really important. So I'm going to pass it over now to Annette. Annette, I'm going to literally go into the next screen and give us an insight into your day in a life, what that looks like on an average day here. Yes, over to you, Annette. Thank you.
Sure. So like I said earlier, I am in the global banking team at UBS. I am sector coverage within the investment bank. So we cover technology, media, and telecom. We will cover different product groups. So we will cover DCM, ECM, M&A. So some of our transactions are IPO, some of our transactions are standard mergers and acquisitions transactions. And so this is just a typical day in the life of me. I'm an associate director within the TMT team, so just above an analyst, but I work very closely with the analysts. So typically at the start of my day, I will go through my emails. We work very internationally, so I work with the New York team a lot. So it's very likely I have emails overnight while they work and we sleep. So I wake up in the morning, I will go through my emails, see what information is required. Are there any deliverables that I can send straight away from the emails I've received? We then have a team call in the morning. So we will have this twice a week. We have a team call, and that's where we go through all the projects that are ongoing in the team, so that everyone has an idea of every project that we are working on. If you are working with some directors, that they will hand over to the junior people in the team, so you will need to know what's going on in your project so you can give the update, and other directors do that themselves. We will have work allocated to us. So we have staffers in the team who will allocate you to projects and to marketing work. So everyone will have a project that they're currently working on. For example, I'm working on an IPO at the moment, and then I also have marketing work alongside my project work. So that's allocated by the staffer. So that's done usually once a week. So at the start of the week, however, you can get requests during the week. So for example, today there was a last minute LBO request for someone to do something within an hour. And so you just have to stay on top of your work during the week so that you have availability if something is required last minute. So we'll work on whatever document you're required to work on. So we work mainly in PowerPoint and Excel. We'll build models in Excel. So we'll build like a DCF, an LBO, or an operating model. That's a lot of our work there. And in PowerPoint, we produce documents such as confidential IMs. We will produce marketing packs. So there'll be like an introduction pack to introduce clients to us, UBS, the work of the TMT team, previous transactions that we've done, and how we can help the client in whatever they'd like to do. So you'd start working on that in the morning. Typically during the day, you'll have client calls. So like I said, if you're working on a marketing pack, you may have a marketing call for the pack that you have produced. As a junior, you do the majority of the work, so you are the most informed. So you usually get invited to these calls just in case there's a question that you know the answer to that someone else does. This could also be a project call you can have during the day. So for example, for my project, we have a weekly call every week with all parties. So this will be with UBS, will be with the client plus the lawyers that we have involved on the transaction, and that is to update the client on all the different work streams that are going on at the same time. So again, that's another thing you have to stay up to date with to be able to provide an update of where you are. Because, for example, on the weekly call, I lead for UBS and provide the update of the work streams that we are working on within the team. Midday, you will typically, having worked for something in the morning, maybe send something over to a senior. So if I'm working with an analyst, they will pass over the slides they're working over to me, and I will review them and then send back comments. They will process those comments and send it back to me before it's sent over to someone more senior. So the way it works at UBS is it's passed up to associate director, which is me, and then I would pass it over to a director, which is the next level up. They will review and provide us comments. The analyst will process those comments and again pass it over to me again before I pass it over back to the director. We will have a lunch break. We like to have breaks. So we tend to go out and outside of 5-4 break for lunch, come back and work on things, work on whatever we've been working on in the morning. Depending on how much work you have, you may have to prioritize something else in the afternoon based on what you have to prioritize in the morning. If there's like an ad hoc task that's coming in the day, which needs to be done in the next hour, you may have to dump everything you're working on in the morning and now work on that. You then have calls with seniors to debrief any research or any marketing work that you've been working on in the day, and any other client calls in the afternoon or evening. Like I said, we work a lot with the teams in America. So I'm working with the New York team quite a bit. So it means that we have quite a lot of late calls, so that there is a crossover, and it's a reasonable time for them to have a call and a reasonable time for us to have a call. The same with our clients. If they are in different parts of the world, we can have evening calls where we have our weekly calls in the evening. We typically have dinner in the office. We have dinner. You can have dinner in the office after 7 p.m. So we have dinner at 7 p.m. And then take a break again and continue working on the deliverables for the day. Like I said, the main deliverables we do are we build models, we build DCS, discounted cash flow, for anyone who doesn't know, a leverage buyout model, operating models. We do general analysis such as like analysing a share price over a history of a company's performance. And we also work in PowerPoint to produce general documents. So PowerPoint skills are very, very useful to build for this role.
Amazing, Lynette. Thank you so much for kind of explaining those abbreviations as well, because I can imagine some of the students are probably thinking, oh, well, goodness, what does that mean, DCM and everything? So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. And it's been great seeing and sharing, for you to share your insights into your average day in the life. For the next part of this session, I want to make it as interactive as possible. I'm conscious, obviously, with the restriction, but I want this opportunity where everyone can ask questions, whether that be recruitment brace, which would be myself, or whether it would be more about global banking or experience about UBS, which will be both myself and Annette that can answer, but not global banking, actually. Annette will be more global banking and myself will be just recruiting. So for those who have thought of any questions, please, I believe the hand raising functionality might be available to you, or even simply we're nodding. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of it. There's hand raising functions, and there's a lot of questions already in the chat, so whichever.
Amazing. Would you be able to help, because we are currently restricted on the chat functionality? I just realized, so I can't see any chats.
Not a problem.
Yes.
We've had a lot of interest in the off-cycle internship and whether it has a specific timeline, and kind of really like just a lot of questions like when we can expect it to start, can final year students apply? So
yes. So with the off-cycle, it's similar to a summer internship. However, the duration is probably a tad bit longer. So in comparison to a summer internship, which is only 9 weeks, the off cycle ranges from anything to 3 to 6 months. The offering for that is actually dependent on the division. So we don't offer it for all areas, but the popular areas we offer it is actually global banking. So we have roles within the UK in London and also outside, so areas like Germany, France, etc. So in terms of obviously the timing, it probably would coincide with those who are maybe completing, whether it's a postgrad, a master's, or even a longer kind of, I guess, degree, more than probably the standard 3 years, because you would need the 3 to 6 months duration time to actually kind of do the internship. Most of the intake will be either in January or in the summertime as well, but there are flexibility because it's dependent on the business. We will work around based on your degree and also the team that you're actually working with. So the duration, as mentioned, is 3 to 6 months, very similar with the summer internship. So it'll be one or the other, not both, to consider applying for, or even the industrial placement, which is 12 months. And it's for those who are completing a 4-year sandwich course, which is basically a 3-year standard and 1-year professional placement in industry. Hopefully that answers the question.
Definitely. And we've had a question from Bizu, which says, what made both of you choose UBS over other top companies?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So before I go to Annette, and Annette, if you could add, I'm going to be very cheeky, but if you can add what made you choose global banking as well, that will be awesome, to kind of, whether that be at uni or what the exposure you gain, and that will be good to add. But in terms of, I guess, me, it would be probably the opportunity that I would have here at UBS. I guess we are a large firm, but the teams are small in comparison to other organizations. And I think the exposure that I would have will be next to none. And I guess outside of my day-to-day standard, I want to have, I guess, a varied opportunity, whether that be kind of, I guess, part of, there's an internal network called Mosaic, and they focus on ethnic diversity. And I'm part, and I'm actually helping with the chair of those kind of network as well. So having opportunities around that is good, and also across the team in my role as well. So there are a lot more exposure that I can gain in comparison to other companies. The second aspect is the people. I actually left my old company to join that, to follow my actual manager, which is really funny, and she kind of brought me along. But the reason why I've probably stayed since then are the people. I think everyone's just so authentic, and that's why I mentioned that in the presentation. It's really important, whether that be junior levels or senior levels. I can literally just pick up the phone and be like, I need help, or I don't understand this, or how are you even? And it's not hierarchical in the sense that, oh my God, this person's too senior, I can't talk to them. But I just feel like I can be connected to them. I have a colleague in global banking, she's an MD, and I just literally, she even checked on me the other day, and it was like, oh, how was your wedding? And it's so nice to have that, to be recognized and to be recognized as a person with a name and with a story attached to them. So for me, that's my personal reason. So Annette, over to you in terms of obviously why UBS and why global banking.
So for me, the main thing was the people. So going through my interview process, I'm not sure if you have done many investment banking interviews, but they are not fun. And the UBS process was actually just fun. It was actually really nice. It wasn't like a typical grilling investment banking interview. It was just nice. Everyone was really nice. It was really nice conversations. I got to know so many people. I had 10 interviews, and each one didn't feel like an interview, it just felt like a conversation. And at the end, I was so happy with every single interview. I was like, I really hope to get that, because I really enjoyed just meeting everyone. So for me, the main thing that swayed me towards UBS was the people. And for global banking, it's because I am the type of person that likes a lot going on. I do a lot of things at one time. And so global banking helps me with that, because there is so much going on all the time. I'm on four different things at once now. What I'm doing now can be completely different to what I'm doing in an hour's time. I could wake up in the morning and there's a whole new project. I have to become an expert on a whole new subsector. And I love that my days are never the same. I literally have no clue how my next week is going to be. I could be working on something completely different. One project can fall through, another project can arrive. And so the variety for me is what keeps me interested in global banking.
Brilliant, thank you so much. I can see, Pratish, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, let's get some people talking. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Nofi and Annette, for the wonderful presentation. My question is basically for Annette, was more related to global banking. So I was wondering, how often do junior analysts or first-year analysts get a chance to get on a client call and like have a client interaction during their first year?
So quite quickly. So the analysts that I'm working with that started a couple of weeks ago are already on client calls. So it's literally straight away. We are so busy that no one really gets shielded from that, because everyone has to get involved. Like Nofi said, you get so much exposure literally from day one, and the analysts are exactly the same. They are exposed to everything from day one. So they're involved in projects. They're even assigned projects before they start. So literally day one, you're involved in everything, and you're guided through. So you have buddies, and you're always working with an associate. So you always have someone to ask questions.
Thank you so much. That's quite reassuring about, because I've heard a lot of misconception about junior bankers don't get a lot of exposure. Another quick question. Why should someone choose a bulge bracket bank like an UBS over an elite boutique investment bank?
So for me, I think firstly, UBS as a brand has such a good name, such a prestige name, and when you join the bank, you can actually see why. Like, everything is just done to like such a high standard. Like, there's such a high standard in every single document we produce.
We're a Swiss bank, isn't it? We're a Swiss bank. We have to get it right. I'm joking.
And I think you just, working with everyone is just so smart. There is so much to learn from each individual. So I think it's such a great place to gain exposure. Like you said, you gain more exposure here than I think at some other places. And also the quality is just so high that you are going to learn the best. You're going to learn how to do everything the best way possible.
Okay, thank you so much. That's it from my side.
No worries.
Great. I can see Biju's got a hand raised, but just before I go to you, a question has just come into the chat just asking whether the assessment day is likely to be online or in person.
So yes, the assessment days for probably this part of the year will be online. For any assessment for the new year, we are very hopeful that we'll do a lot more in-person engagement, because we know that throughout the interview process is obviously an opportunity for you to get to know us as well. So we're hoping that we'll be able to do a lot more in-person engagement in the new year.
Brilliant, thank you. And then Biju, I'll go over to you with your hand raised.
So thank you so much for this amazing section. It's a good opportunity to know more about UBS and global banking. Thank you so much. So of course, everyone knows that UBS is a quite popular and well-known company. So it must be very competitive to apply for any job in this company. So what did you guys do to stand out during your application?
Good question. And yes, absolutely. It is fairly competitive, regardless of the roles and the opportunity. But for me, and Annette, you probably go after if that's okay, and it'll be, and just to worth noting, this is based on my personal experience, please don't use it as Bible, but for me, it's just having that genuine interest in whatever division you're interested in. You can't wing it in your interview process or even in the role that you're doing. Imagine you're spending X amount of hours doing this with the team. It's really important you enjoy what you're doing. So regardless of the kind of, I guess, the division it is, but just having that genuine interest is key. The second part is authenticity. Is really important. And I know a lot of students are at that age where you're probably still discovering yourself, discovering where you were sitting in like the working world. But it's actually okay to kind of say, okay, I want to be myself, and that's really important, and that is really key. Do not try to be someone else that you're not, whether that be someone that's got a finance background or someone that you think, but just be you. And it's easier that way, rather than pretending that you're someone else, and you get all the help and guidance that you need when you are your authentic self. So for me, authenticity and genuine interest in the division you're kind of, I guess, applying for, that will show in your interview process. And that's what I think is really important, to get those two things right, because in that interview process, that will come out, your authenticity, and also obviously that what you can bring into that role, that division that you're interested in. And then what about yourself?
So quite similar to you. I think for me, I was as prepared as I could possibly be. I knew every single person who was interviewing me. I knew their background. I had a document which had every possible question that could be asked in an interview, and I prepared answers, and I'd like run through practice Zoom sessions with my friends so that I knew how to present myself properly over the camera. I prepared really, really well, and I think that's how I achieved success in this role. So I think preparation is really, really, really key to stand out. And because I prepared so much, I thought when I got to the end, I have done my best. And so I can't be sad whatever happens, because I have done my best.
Yeah, you tend to feel better when you're feeling prepared in whatever it is, whether it's an interview or presentation. I actually was going to say that, and I thought I've reiterated preparation enough. You guys are probably tired of hearing that, but Annette, thank you so much for vouching for that. So you've just reaffirmed what I've been saying throughout the presentation. Thank you so much for that. Is there any more questions? I know we've got 3 minutes left.
Yeah, we've got quite a few. So
yes, the chat. I forgot because I was looking at the hand raising. Yes, let's do that.
Unless, Giorgio, do you want to go now?
Yeah, sure. I'm a second-year student, and I'm currently looking for a placement here. I'm very interested in asset management program because, you know, UBS is one of the few companies that offer a specific placement in a specific division like asset management. I'm very interested in this division. I'm a bit worried about the fact that you recruit on a rolling basis. I mean, I want to get prepared for the test, the online interview. So I did not apply yet for this reason. So what do you think about? Do you think it's better to wait like 1 week and get prepared, or to apply as early as possible? Thank you very much.
No worries, that's really good, and great to hear that you're interested in our opportunities. So we opened all of our summer internship, industrial placement and graduate scheme as of the 1st of September. So we're still open now, and we will be opening, worth noting, our spring week opportunity from the 2nd week of October. So we recruit on a rolling basis, so there isn't a real kind of deadline, because it really depends on the vacancies and the numbers that we receive in terms of application. So there might be some vacancies that are closed by November, and there's some vacancy that are maybe still recruiting in December. So it really does depend, and that's why we would always advise early application. We're not saying rush your application process. So if you need, and if you feel like you need an additional week, we are still end of September. I can't believe it, we're end of September already. If you feel like you need some time to research, even if it's a few days, just make sure you've given yourself enough time to apply. I would definitely recommend trying to apply as soon as possible. Remember, once you submit your application, you still got 7 days to complete that test anyway as well. So technically that still aligns and that still works within that timeline you mentioned, but I just wouldn't recommend leaving it any later than probably October onwards, because that's when you tend to find that a lot of the vacancies are closed. We're inundated, as you can imagine, with applications on a yearly basis. So to give yourself the best opportunity possible is to try and apply as early as possible. But good luck in your application process.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Brill, I think that is all that we've got time for, but thank you so much, Nofi and Annette. I don't know if you've got any final things that you want to say before we close out.
Yeah, for me, it would be just, I guess, whatever role, whatever opportunity you're considering, just remember that's not the be or end all. It does not mean that's what you need to do for the rest of your life. Sometimes you just need to be open. It's really important. There might be some roles that you not necessarily think about doing and you do it and you're just like, oh my gosh, I like it, or I learned this about myself and I won't do that. But just be open to it. Everyone on the call is at the age where you can take advantage of being kind of young and also being experimental. Take that opportunity now, and just, you never know, you find that you end up learning more about yourself. So that's the tip that I would give. Annette, would you like to end with anything else?
I would just like to say, if anyone has any questions about global banking they didn't want to ask on the call, feel free to add me on LinkedIn and ask questions. I get asked questions all the time and I'm very happy to answer your questions.
Amazing. That's nicely put. Thank you so much, Annette. And thank you so much, Enactus, for having us today. It's been great. And I'm wishing you guys all the very best. If you are applying, go to our website, www.ubs.com/graduates, to learn more about the opportunities we have. And if you are interested in any of our events or opportunities, scan the QR code on the bottom right-hand side, and we'll keep you connected through our talent community. Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Bye.